Hello, YouTube. Anthropologist Emmanuelle Honoré from the MacDonald Institute for Archaeological Research. She made a surprising discovery. About a decade ago, she measured miniature handprints left in the Egyptian cave Wadi Surra II. The cave is located in the Sahara Desert on the rocky plateau of Gilf Kebir. The researcher came to the conclusion these are not human prints. Although they are very similar, five-fingered. The Wadi Surra II cave was discovered in the year 2002. Like its neighbor, the so-called Cave of Swimmers, it is full of rock paintings made with ochre. The inhabitants of these caves who lived in the area about 10,000 years ago depicted figures or figurines of people and animals. Some left prints of their palms, which are like ours, human-sized. But there are small ones next to the large prints. It is believed that the small ones were children's palms. But Emmanuelle Honoré doubted it. The prints were tiny. What kind of children these were? The researcher visited several maternity hospitals where she measured the palms of newborns. They were larger. Well, they measured the palms of children born at 7 months, and they were not similar. Whose are these tiny prints then? It is handprints. It is logical to assume that aliens were the ones who put their palms on the walls. After all, if we believe the numerous stories, they're much smaller than people, both in body and limbs. If you check out my Monchegorsk object video, you'll find out a very interesting craft that was discovered in the Soviet Union in 1997 and who it was made for. Anyway, so did they fly in after all, those aliens? Did they communicate with local people at different level of development of the time? Emmanuelle had a more original suggestion. At first, she ruled out small monkeys. The fingers on the imprinted palms were much longer and thinner than those of some monkeys, but the local monitor lizards, not very large, were suitable in size and proportions of their palms. The researcher, however, did not exclude that instead of monitor lizards, there could have been crocodiles. Here's what I read in their published study in 2016, titled First Identification of Non-Human Stencil Hands at Wadi Surra II, Egypt, a morphometric study for new insights into rock art symbolism. In the Libyan desert, Wadi Surra II shelter hosts numerous stencil paintings believed to date to the early and mid-Holocene. Tiny hands have previously been considered to belong to human babies. We challenged this identification, having conducted a morphometric study to compare the archaeological material with samples of hands of babies born at term and preterm at the neonatal unit of the CHRU Jean de Flandre, Lille, France. The results showed that the rock art small hands differ significantly in size, proportions, and morphology from human hands. Potential biases between the different samples were quantified, but their average range cannot explain the observed differences. Evidence suggests that the hand stencils belong to an animal, most probably a reptile. The identification of non-human pendactyl hand stencils is unique in the field of rock art and raises new perspectives for understanding the rock art at Wadi Surra and the behavior and symbolic universe of the populations who made it. Of course, it wasn't the monitor lizards or crocodiles themselves that created the drawings on the cave walls. People put their paws on them and smeared them with ochre to get prints. But why? It is unknown. I mean, what do we know about lifestyles and beliefs and rituals of the people thousands of years ago in the Sahara? It would be clear with aliens. They wanted to leave a mark on the history of our planet, and they did. Let's look at Emmanuelle Honoré. She's a researcher in archaeology with a specific interest for prehistory and especially the transition from hunting-gathering ways of life to pastoralist ways of life in Africa. Her research has focused on the social aspects of such transition. She has had several postdoctoral positions at the University of Cambridge and Université Libre de Bruxelles. She has been the Evans Pritchard Lecturer 2018 at the University of Oxford and a visiting fellow at the Sainsbury Research Unit for the Arts of Africa, Oceania, and the Americas at the University of East Anglia, UK. Her recent research projects focus on the rock art of northeastern Africa. She's a scientist, and she is definitely an experienced one. In September 2021, she joins the Paris IAS as part of the French Institute for Advanced Study Fellowship Program Research Project Prehistoric Worldviews and Archaeology of Relational Ontologies in North African Rock Art. But having established her credentials, and they are quite impressive, I want to tell you something else. There are other mysteries at the site. Remember, this spectacular rock shelter was discovered in Wadi Surra in 2002 by an Egyptian-Italian tourist party actually. Later, in 2015, I read a very interesting report published in German Scientists. With regard to some problems that arose from the appellation of this site by personal names, regardless of national and geographical regulations that normally should define the name of a place, they decided to use a more neutral term and to list the site archaeologically as Wadi Surra II, and for a better general understanding with regard to the most striking feature among the paintings of Cave of Beasts. The number of 6,000 to 8,000 painted and to a smaller part engraved figures in this cave dwarfs not only the old Wadi Surra shelter, but also the majority of comparable sites in the entire Sahara. Also, with regard to the variety of painted topics, the vitality of the human figures, and their gestures, as well as the composition of scenes, hardly a similar ensemble can be found. There are countless groups of humans dancing, interacting in domestic scenes, and involved in enigmatic behavior or rituals, hunters with bow and arrow, combats between archers, and finally hundreds of hand stencils. Most remarkable are more than 30 examples. A mysterious, obviously headless beast that now also provides an interpretation for a similar enigmatic figure in the old Cave of Swimmers. The Cave of Swimmers is a cave with ancient rock art in the mountains Gilf Kebir Plateau of the Libyan desert section of the Sahara. It is located in the New Valley Governorate of southwest Egypt, near the border with Libya. Think about it. How much more is going to be found, I hope, in that location. But here is something else. Rock paintings have been discovered in caves in India that are also about 10,000 years old. It looks like aliens are definitely depicted there. Chhattisgarh is a state in central India, just southeast of Madhya Pradesh, with 28 million inhabitants. It used to be part of Madhya Pradesh, capital Bhopal. until the year 2000. The capital city of Chhattisgarh is Raipur. A major part of the south of the state was known in ancient times as Dandakaranya, while the north was called Dakshina Koshal. It was mentioned in the Ramayana and Mahabharata epics. In the year 2014, the Chhattisgarh State Department of Archaeology and Culture attempted to take the help of NASA and the Indian Space Research Organization to carry out the research of a set of ancient rock paintings found inside caves near the town of Charama in the Kanker district in the tribal Basta region, Chhattisgarh, India. The discovery was reported by the Indian newspaper Times of India. The rock paintings are located in India, again in the state of Chhattisgarh, approximately 130 kilometers from the city of Raipur. They were discovered in caves that stretch under the villages of Chandeli and Gotitola. There are figures in the drawings, but they don't look human. Some are in spacesuits and with objects resembling weapons. An object is also depicted on 3 legs, supports, which can be taken to be a flying saucer. The drawings are about 10,000 years old, as Indian archaeologists claim. They, and of course ufologists, believe that ancient artists depicted aliens who had arrived on Earth. They captured the moment of their appearance. Again, according to Indian archaeologists, there's a legend among the locals, passed down from generation to generation. Supposedly, once upon a time, a people of small stature, rurcla, descended here from the heavens several times, and they took 1 or 2 villagers with them. They didn't return them back. Some of the figures depicted in the Indian cave look like aliens as they are now described. The state authorities take the discovery very seriously. They believe that the aliens are depicted on cave walls. Again, the authorities try to get the experts from NASA and the Indian National Space Agency to study the drawings. I don't know how much help they received, but they wanted to. The region where the rock paintings were discovered, presently Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, was the place of pre-agrarian human settlement, even before the Great Tectonic Plate movement. That is why many prehistoric cave paintings have been found here. Anyway, maybe the Indian archaeologists should invite Emmanuel Honoré, who would take a critical approach to the drawings. Or on the contrary, having studied them, she would decide that she was hasty with monitor lizards, and it wasn't they, but the aliens who put their palms there, having arrived from India to Egypt. By the way, the styles of the drawings reportedly in these caves are very similar. There are surprisingly many rock paintings where enthusiasts see aliens. I've listed quite a few pertaining to Eurasia. For example, the figures depicted in the Camonica Valley in Italy could easily be mistaken for aliens in spacesuits. And of course, the ones I presented from Kazakhstan and so forth, you can find in my videos. But those ones in Italy are also about 10,000 years old. And of course, there are faces in Australia. Well, I don't have to tell you that they look the way aliens are being described nowadays. Such images serve as confirmation for ufologists of the theory of paleo-contact. That is the hypothesis that our planet was visited in ancient times by representatives of extraterrestrial intelligence. Some of the best and earliest theorists of paleo-contact are from the same country I'm from, the Soviet Union, and their input, their contribution to this research, to the ideas of paleo-contact, is immeasurable. This is what I wanted to let you know today. If you like my research, please kindly support me in the links you will find in the description to this video. Please like my videos. Please tell others about my channel. And thank you very much for your attention to my work.